I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land, the Dharawal people, on which we gather today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Well, welcome again. And as I mentioned, my name is Edwina Ellicott, and I'm the Community Engagement Manager for H.Parsons Funeral Directors. We're really excited about this event, and we're so thrilled that you've joined us this morning for Dying to Know Day. Before we get started, I'm just going to cover off a few housekeeping notes and provide an overview of the morning. So this is usually the bit where I'd be telling you what time morning tea is or where the emergency exits are, but it looks like most of you have got that under control in your own location, which is great. So we'll just stick to a few Zoom logistics. Look, if you know Zoom really well, please bear with us, because I know some people here are quite new to using Zoom, and we just want to make sure that everyone's really comfortable with the process. So as I mentioned a few seconds ago, you've all been placed on mute, and really the reason for that is to just eliminate any background noise for when people are speaking. We're going to make sure that you have the opportunity to ask a few questions throughout the morning. And also, if you really want to ask a question, you can go to your chat button, which is just at the bottom of your screen. Click on that and type in any questions that you may have. And if we're able to, we'll direct those to the speaker and they'll be able to respond to them throughout the session. We'll also be sending an email out after the session to all attendees, and that will also give you an opportunity to email back to us with any questions that you may have. Our email address is communityengagement@hparsons.com.au. If for any reason you have any technical difficulties, we usually find that if you log off and log back in again, that usually resolves everything. So we're really fortunate to have such a great lineup of speakers joining us this morning. And I'm just going to quickly introduce each of them in the order that they're presenting, and then a little bit later, they'll be able to introduce themselves when they start their presentation. So our first speaker will be Carolyn Vaughan. Carolyn, just wait. Hi, Carolyn. So Carolyn is a practicing end-of-life doula, and she'll be inspiring conversations and actions around topics of death and dying. Next, we'll be hearing from Margot Kennedy. Do you want to wave, Margot? Hi, Margot. So Margot's from New South Wales Trustee and Guardian, and Margot will be talking about will preparation and the roles of enduring guardianship and other related topics. Maria Natera from the RSPCA is after this session. So Maria's actually pre-recorded her session, but she's here in person. Hi, Maria. Thanks so much for joining us. And Maria is going to talk about pets and end-of-life planning. Selena Kinji is from Multicultural Communities Council of the Illawarra. Are you here, Selene? I see your face. Hi. And Selena will be talking about advanced care planning. We're then going to switch over to breakout rooms. And when we get to that bit, we'll talk you through the logistics of how that's going to work. It's pretty straightforward. There'll be directions on the screen. All you really need to do is follow the directions. There'll be two topics. One topic will be the opportunity to have conversations with some of our staff members. So we have Michelle Murphy, who's our Senior Funeral Director, and Luan Murray. Hi, guys. Hi. Luan is our Mortuary Manager and Embalmer. And the other topic will be led by Carolyn Vaughan. We've met Carolyn a little bit earlier. And then we're going to switch them around. So you'll be automatically allocated to one of them, and then you'll get the chance to go to the other one. And then the final session is a virtual tour of Mountain View Crematoria, which was put together by Michelle Newland, who is the manager at Mountain View Crematoria, and also Lachlan Dewsbury, who works with us at H.Parsons. We got Michelle there. Do you want to say hi? Michelle? Yeah. Hey, Michelle. Hey, and Lachlan, I know, Lachlan, you're there in the background. Thanks for your assistance with this. Okay, so as a family-owned and operated organisation, H.Parsons, in partnership with Rankin's Funerals, Wollongong City Funerals, Mountain View Crematoria and Stancrap Funerals, are proud to be hosting this Dying to Know Day, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. H.Parsons has a long and meaningful history in the Illawarra, and we have developed authentic connections with local communities. It's important to us that we're able to give back by providing support through the Parsons pillars of social responsibility, environmental responsibility, supporting local community, and supporting local business. Dine to Know Day is an initiative created by the Groundswell Project and something that we at H.Parsons resonate with. Our aim today is to create a welcoming space for you all to have conversations about death. We had really hoped to put this together in a face-to-face format, but we've switched to Zoom, and I think it's working really well for us. Everyone has their own experiences and questions when it comes to end of life, but many people don't have the opportunity to share these experiences or ask the questions. We hope you have the opportunity to ask these questions today, or even just make connections with other people attending. And to those of you who are grieving or have experienced a recent loss, our sincere condolences. I'd like to introduce you to our incredible team who's actually helped to put this together. This is the team from H.Parsons. And as I call your names, can you please pop your screens on? So Chris is behind the scenes and just making this whole thing hum along really smoothly. So Chris, are you there? Yeah.
Hello.
Swap. Hi, just say hi. Yep. Michelle Newland, you met just a few seconds ago. Michelle Newland from Mountain View Crematoria.
Hi, everyone.
Hey. Michelle Murphy, Luan Murray, Lachlan Dewsbury. And also,
hello.
Hey. and obviously a big thank you to our presenters, Carolyn, Margot, Maria, and Selene, just for taking the time to partner with us and to, co-inspire this idea. Without them, we really couldn't make this work today. And also just being so willing to pivot from, sorry to use that word pivot, but that's what we did, from a face-to-face environment to moving this online to Zoom. I'm now going to hand over to Carolyn, who is going to start with our first session. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thanks, Edwina. Good morning, everybody. And I'd like to really thank Parsons as well for sponsoring this morning. It's a wonderful opportunity to come together and have these conversations in a way that's relaxed and easy. And what I notice is there's so many people coming from areas outside of Unanderra, so welcome. What I'll do is I'm just going to pop up here this presentation up. So as Edwina said, my name is Carolyn Vaughan and I'm a practicing end-of-life doula and death educator. I live in Shellharbour in the Illawarra region of New South Wales. And I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today and their children as well for holding the dreams. The word doula is a Greek word meaning to be of service. So just as there are birth doulas, there are end-of-life doulas working in the end-of-life space. And I work directly with people who are facing an end-of-life diagnosis or an illness, and quite often their families and their carers as well. For people who have been given a life-limiting diagnosis, the future can be quite daunting and extremely challenging. So it can be equally as daunting and overwhelming for family members and friends and carers. And there are many things to consider in that space, lots of decisions to be made, lots of information to gather about that journey ahead. So in my role as an end-of-life doula, what I do is I provide support and guidance to the people and the families that I work with on this journey in ways that they determine, in ways that they see are important to them. And I support quite often families remotely, as well as doing face-to-face work with clients and families. So I came to this work through personal experience and directly through the death of both of my parents. My father was a very proud, stoic man who was unwilling and perhaps very unable to engage in any form of discussion around illness. So when it came time for me to actually manage his death and his end of life, all I had was his will. I didn't have anything else. I didn't have any discussions. When my mother was diagnosed with a life-limiting illness, we sat down together as a family and made decisions about how it could be different so that everyone was involved, and we managed that situation as well as we could. It also meant that I was able to advocate for her wishes. So what I'd like to do is just give you a little bit of information now around what an end-of-life doula is and how that someone who is a doula can support families facing an end-of-life illness. So an end-of-life doula is a non-medical presence and support for the dying person and their families. So quite often I will work as part of a larger team, a palliative care home team, for example. So there are trained medical staff to attend to the medical needs and the medication of the person that I'm caring for. And I support that person in the ways that they determine, the ways that they tell me they want to be cared for. And that may often be personal care. One of the really important roles I also play is to support the carers as they're caring for their loved one and their family member. That's an incredibly challenging role. It's about building their knowledge, building their skills and their confidence so that they can support their loved one as best they can. And I can actually step back out of that role and encourage them to move forward. I also fill the gap when palliative care aren't there. For anyone who is living in a home, and for anyone who's actually given a medical diagnosis, and this will relate to something I'll discuss with you shortly. When you have a medical diagnosis, you might spend 5% of your time with medical staff, nursing staff, oncology, hospital visits, doctor's visits. The other 95% of that time, who are you with? If you don't have family living close, if you don't have friends or carers who are coming in to be with you, that can be an incredibly lonely time. So this is one of those opportunities that an end-of-life doula can actually step in and support a family. The support I offer is around a range of things, and these are just some examples, to support the physical, emotional, psychological, and sometimes the spiritual needs of the client and their family as well. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. This is a phrase I often hear from some of the families and the people that I work with. Doulas, end-of-life doulas, lift the burden. They actually can lift some of that weight off families. They're so involved in caring for their loved one. They need some support too, and they need some time to breathe and live, and particularly if they have their own families. So lifting that burden is a wonderful gift. These are just some of the things that end-of-life doulas can do, and this again is determined by what the person with that life-limiting illness needs, what they tell me they need. It can include, doesn't have to assist in the completion of advanced care directives and emotional wills. And I know there's going to be some more discussion about some of these things shortly. And that's to assist, not to dominate and not to dictate. We don't direct, but we assist someone to actually fill in those documents so that they can live as well as they can until their end of life. Support family conferences and discussions. When you are given a life-limiting illness, it can be an extremely challenging thing to sit down with your family and talk about what's going to happen. What's that journey going to look like? And sometimes families need a little bit of support to move into that space and to have the courage to have those conversations together. Undertaking legacy projects for people. So this can include all sorts of things. Some of the things I personally have done, I have created together with the person, we've done hand casting sets for people, for family members to keep. We've made quilts out of treasured pieces of clothing that person wanted to keep and share amongst their family. So there's all sorts of beautiful possibilities there. Coordinating care team support and respite. So for a family that is caring for their person in the home, it's a 24/7 job. It's a very challenging role. And sometimes to be able to step in and say to people, how can we coordinate this a little bit better? Or who else can we ask to come and be part of this process so that the burden can be shared and people can actually take time out, replenish themselves and spend time with their own families as well. Family and personal history, biographies. There are some amazing stories that people hold about their past and their journeys through life. And it's a very honouring experience actually to be able to sit with people and capture some of that Even if they tell those stories and those stories are recorded for family members, they may also be written, depending on what that person would like. And medical appointments, support and transport. Not everyone who is facing a life-limiting illness has access to support and transport. So sometimes attending visits, making sure people get to their appointments, can give families a break as well, families and carers. Liaison with medical staff and practitioners. This can be a tricky one. Quite often as people, and I'll speak from my experience, when my mother had melanoma, and as her treatment progressed, she found it very difficult to absorb information from doctors' visits and nurses' visits and radiology as well. So what I would do is go with her, and we had a notebook, and I would actually take the responsibility for writing down that information and then sharing that with other family members and making sure that information was correct. So for family members who are perhaps working, involved with their own families, who didn't have the opportunity to attend those appointments, they could be sure that that information was conveyed effectively. Supporting the person with funeral planning. So as well as being an end-of-life doula, I'm also a funeral planner and celebrant. And to be able to sit with people and say, what is it that you would like? And to explore some of those options and to give people the opportunity to decide for themselves what they would like. And also to share that conversation with their family and perhaps do that planning jointly if they would like to do that. Vigiling and after death body care. So vigiling is actually sitting with someone as they're dying. A lot of people find that quite confronting. It's actually something that I relish. It's an incredible honour to be able to sit with someone as they transition from this life, to be able to sit in silence, to sit and hold their hand, to be with them when perhaps family members and carers can't do that or choose not to do that for whatever reason. And that's incredibly valid. And after death body care, for people who wish to die in their own home, there is an opportunity, and also in funeral settings, for families to engage in after death body care. And that could be as simple as bathing a body and spending time. Ritual work. So finding ways of sharing your love for that person after their death. And that can be simply lighting a candle, spending time, all sorts of possibilities there. Early bereavement support for a family, just to have someone to be able to talk to about what's happened. And before the death of their loved one, to be able to talk to them about what's going to happen, what's that going to look like, how would you like to be involved in that process so that they are as engaged as possible. It's their loved one. And also offering, as again, funeral support and celebrancy. So one of the things that gives me a deep delight is being able to work with people once they face a diagnosis, to be able to walk with them right through that process and to support the entire family through that journey as well. What I'd also like to do is just share with you for a moment a journey that I've been on over the last 6 months. I've been working on a project called the Illawarra Shoalhaven Compassionate Communities Project. And this project has been rolling out for 12 months. My involvement's just been the last 6 months. But what we've done is encourage a whole community approach to end-of-life care, where caring for one another at times of need, loss or crisis becomes the task and the responsibility of everybody, not just medical staff. So what we've done is encourage people to have discussions and to engage in community around the whole topic of end of life. The way we've done that, we've had so much fun doing this, is rolling out death cafes right across the Illawarra Shoalhaven Health region, from Helensburgh, from Thirroul actually, all the way down to Ulladulla. And the death cafes have given everyone in the community, it's been widely advertised, the opportunity to come along and have a chat about anything and everything to do with end of life. So a death cafe, I'll just give you a little bit of a spiel here, is a space where you can come and enjoy open, relaxed and spontaneous conversation on the topics of end of life, death and dying. Those words, death and dying. It's a friendly space where you can share stories and hear others share as well, as we ponder all things that relate to our end of life. No agendas, no themes, completely open discussion. So people bring their conversations to the table, and that's what we explore. Those death cafes are not grief counselling sessions, so it's probably not recommended for someone who has been recently bereaved. But for anyone who's actually interested in attending those death cafes, on Facebook, just down the bottom of the page there, we've started a page up on Death Cafes Illawarra and Shoalhaven. So if you watch that space, you'll be able to access information about those activities. Death cafes, as I mentioned, have helped generate a lot of discussion between people and their families about the need for planning. I've had many people come to us and say, I was going to come along to a death cafe, but I didn't know what I was going to say. So I think I'll just sit and listen. Halfway through the cafe, they've actually started to share and open up and talk about their concerns. And quite a number of people have fed back to us the courage that they've developed from attending a death cafe and going back to their own families, sitting down around the kitchen table and saying, we need to talk about this. I need to talk with you about what I want for my end of life. So it's had some beautiful roll-on effects, and we're hearing some wonderful stories come back. So those death cafes will continue on through the Illawarra and the Shoalhaven. And I encourage you all, if you have any level of curiosity, please come and join us. So thank you very much, Edwina, for the opportunity to speak and to join in this morning. My details are there on the screen, and Parsons also have those details. So if there's any way that we can support or help you, we'd love to have a chat. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carolyn. That was fantastic. I love the whole notion of having fun with rolling out a community approach to end-of-life support. Having attended a death cafe myself, I felt the same way in that I just really didn't know what to expect. And when I arrived, it was such a welcoming space. It was spontaneous and it was friendly and just very, very easy to have conversations. So thank you for sharing that with us, Carolyn. We will share some of that information about how to access some death cafes and where to go in the email that we send out to everyone afterwards. So thanks so much for sharing, Carolyn. I am now going to hand over to Margot Kennedy from New South Wales Trustee and Guardian.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to say a big thank you to Edwina and H.Parsons for putting this event on. It's so important to have these discussions out in the open, and I'm so pleased to be a part of it today, despite our circumstances with the lockdown and everything. It's great that we've been able to do this online. A little bit about myself. I'm the acting manager at New South Wales Trustee and Guardian at Wollongong branch. I've got over 20 years experience in wills and estate planning. I'm here today just to give everyone an insight of how to plan ahead for your future legal, health and financial matters, and an overview of the New South Wales Trustee and Guardian's services. So just bear with me, I'm just going to start my presentation. Who is the New South Wales Trustee and Guardian? New South Wales Trustee and Guardian is a state government agency that supports the people of New South Wales to plan for their future legal, health and financial matters. We provide a full range of will and trustee services and can be appointed by a court or tribunal as a financial manager and a guardian to support some of the state's most vulnerable people. What is planning ahead? Our research tells us that people do want to plan ahead, but they are often unsure what is involved and how to start the process. The good news is planning ahead is easier than you think. All you need to do is follow these 3 steps: make a power of attorney, appoint an enduring guardian, and prepare a will. Based on the adult population in New South Wales, our research research shows 66% do not have a power of attorney, 69% do not have an enduring guardian, and 49% do not have a will. The uptake of wills is lower in the younger age groups, 34% of 35 to 44-year-olds, the age group at the peak of having families and investing in assets such as real estate or financial planning for their families do not have a will. And another part of our research is we've indicated that only 55%, approximately 3.1 million of the New South Wales population is not aware that New South Wales trustee and guardian prepares wills. Plan ahead while you have capacity. Don't lose the abilities to say who can act on your behalf. A person can only plan ahead whilst they have capacity. Capacity is when a person can understand their situation, including the decision at hand, when a person can weigh up their options, assess their risks and benefits, when a person is able to communicate their views or seek help if needed, when a person is not being unduly influenced. Who determines if you have capacity? A legal practitioner or prescribed witness who is preparing and witnessing your plan ahead documents will determine if you have capacity. If there are any concerns around this, that may require medical assessment to determine capacity. If it is determined that you do not have capacity, a process may be required by a court or a tribunal, who will then appoint someone to make these substitute decisions on behalf of you. This process is often very stressful for family and loved ones. Frequently, New South Wales Trustee and Guardian receives inquiries from worried family members concerning either their elderly mother or father who has received a diagnosis of dementia or another cognitive impairing disease. They are no longer able to make decisions for themselves. So this arises, capacity difficulties arise here. The concerned family members often believe that they can prepare a power of attorney and an enduring guardian on behalf of their parent. Unfortunately, this is not the case. The main lesson we want to get out to the community is to plan ahead while you still have capacity and to ensure you make the decision on who you want to act on your behalf. So how do we plan ahead? The first document to think about is a power of attorney. Regard it as a companion document to your will. A will ensures your assets are described according to your wishes after your death. An appointed power of attorney is authorised to manage your financial and legal affairs on your behalf whilst you're alive. A power of attorney is an important life planning as making a will. In New South Wales, a power of attorney can only apply to financial and legal matters. For instance, if you are travelling or are ill, you can authorise your attorney to operate your bank account, manage your investments such as shareholdings, and pay your household bills. This does not mean you will lose over your financial affairs, control over your financial affairs. You can return to manage your finances as you like and either cancel the power of attorney or limit the scope as long as you have mental capacity to make those decisions. You could appoint a trusted family member or a friend as your power of attorney or a trustee organisation such as the New South Wales Trustee and Guardian. As long as the attorney agrees to take on the role, and most importantly, someone in whom you can place your absolute trust. Since it only operates while you're alive, a power of attorney does not affect your will. There are two kinds of power of attorneys: a general power of attorney, which ceases to take effect if a person loses their mental capacity, and an enduring power of attorney. This type of appointment continues to be in force after you have lost capacity. This brings us to the second step towards planning ahead. Appointing an enduring guardian. Choose your own guardian while you still have capacity. An enduring guardian can make health and lifestyle decisions for a person only if they lose capacity to make their own decisions at some time in the future. It is important to have both an enduring guardian and a power of attorney. An attorney cannot make decisions about where a person should live, what treatment they should have, or what services they require. An enduring guardian can only make these types of decisions. The appointment of your enduring guardian takes effect only if a person no longer has the capacity to make their own decisions. An enduring guardian can make the following decisions. They can make your accommodation decisions, health and care needs, medical and dental consents, and also can employ services like domestic support services if you're still in your home, like Meals and Wheels. The person you appoint whilst you have capacity as your enduring guardian must be over 18 years of age and must have capacity. You can appoint more than one person as your enduring guardian. You can discuss your wishes to give them directions or write the most important wishes down on paper for them. Enduring guardianship ends if the person who appointed the enduring guardian dies. An enduring guardian cannot alter your will or power of attorney. Preparing a will is the third and final step to planning ahead. A will is a legal document that sets out who is to receive a person's assets, including jewelry, sentimental items, money, and property after death. It is important to realise that specific legal requirements are required to be followed for a will to be valid. Therefore, it is highly recommended a professional prepare this document. It is definitely preferable to have a will in place so your assets and sentimental items can be distributed in accordance with your wishes. If you have children under 18 or other people that depend on you for financial support, it is important to make arrangements for their well-being should you pass away. Let's first look at what happens should one die without a will. If a person dies without a will, they die without a say. If you die without a will, no one will know who you may have wanted as your beneficiaries and who you would have wanted as your executor. If a person dies without a will, they die intestate, meaning their assets should be divided according to a set formula set out in legislation and distributed with certain family members receiving a defined percentage of their assets, despite what they may have wanted. The manner of distribution set by intestacy laws may not be what the person wanted to happen to their assets after their passing. For example, the laws do not provide the gifts to friends or charities or arrangements you may want to make for cultural or religious reasons. Secondly, do-it-yourself wills is not advisable. A will must conform to strict legal requirements, otherwise courts may decide it is not valid. If this is the case, your assets will be distributed according to predetermined formula and not as you intended. Anyone who is not legally qualified risks making a mistake, creating uncertainty, or losing opportunities for good estate planning. If they make a will for themselves, ambiguous wording is extremely common in homemade wills and may result in substantial costs and delays at the time of the estate administration. So when should you make and update your will? Wills should be reviewed on average between 3 to 5 years, and when your circumstances change. Getting married, divorced, or living in a de facto or same relationship, buying or selling assets, changing your executor, and if a beneficiary or spouse passes away. So before you set out to make a will, it's a good idea to make a list of your assets and the people you want to leave them to. Give thought to what age should receive their share and how you want your assets divided, and choose a competent and responsible executor. An executor of a will carries out the wishes of a person after they die. Executors are responsible for locating the will, applying to the Supreme Court for a grant of probate of the last will, determining the beneficiaries, collecting the assets, making sure all claims and debts are received, assessed and paid if substantiated, distributing assets according to the terms of the will, including managing long-term trusts, preparation and management of accounts, lodging taxation returns. Clearly, being an executor is a huge amount of responsibility, and many people who are nominated as an executor are unsure what to expect. It is a massive scale of responsibility, and they may not be willing or able to undertake the duties, responsibilities, and liability the role entails. We don't expect you to read all of this. To explain this better, this is just an overview of just how complicated it can be to perform the role of executor or locating a will. An executor should be a good communicator and have the time to dedicate to this task. They should have financial management skills and able to prioritise tasks. They may not be willing or able to undertake these duties, responsibilities and liabilities the role entails, and may decide to appoint another person or trustee organisation to act in their place. Therefore, prior to selecting your executor, it is highly recommended you have a discussion with them and see if they are willing and able to fulfil the role. Being an executive can be complex and time-consuming. The entire process of drawing a will can be hugely daunting. Managing finances and legalities as a power of attorney is not easy. That's why it's wise to consider a professional independent executor and attorney, such as the New South Wales Trustee and Guardian, or a solicitor to take charge and ensure your family is taken care of when you can't. This minimises the workload and burden on your family and friends at a difficult time. New South Wales Trustee and Guardian has exceptionally trained staff to help you to move forward and start your pre-planning documents. We can assist with your power of attorney, preparing your enduring guardian, and of course, the preparation of your will. As the state's largest will-making service, we have the experience of making over 1 million wills and have administered almost 240,000 estates. At the moment, we have more than 500,000 people in New South Wales storing their documents in our safe. So what does it cost with the New South? What's our cost to prepare these documents? For a new will, it's $330. For a new power of attorney, it's $220. And the preparation for the enduring guardian is free for everyone. There's an essential package fee for a new will and a power of attorney. It's discounted to $440. And full age pensioners or equivalent government benefit pensions receive the preparation service for free. We don't charge full age pensioners. And we also have discounts for updated documents. So if you needed to make some changes to your will and power of attorney, for a will it's $220, and for a power of attorney it's $165. And there's an essential package fee for that as well, which is $330. So if you are interested in the New South Wales Trustee and Guardian services, please feel free to give me a call. My number's there, 1300 557 439. During these COVID times, we have accustomed to interviewing clients via video conference appointments. So we've had to obviously accommodate with COVID and the situation. You're also free to have a look at our website, and you can actually start your documents online, just preliminary information, which then gets allocated to a branch of the Trustee and Guardian, and they'll make contact with you to commence the process. And also my email address is there too. Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate your time this morning. And again, thanks to H.Parsons for putting on this event.
Thanks so much, Margot, for that information. So much really, really valuable content there. We certainly notice from families, when we interact with families, when your affairs are in order, it alleviates so much stress. So I can't sort of emphasize enough how important it is to get these types of affairs in order, no matter what stage of life you are at. We're actually going to share that presentation. I'm assuming that's okay, Margot. We'll share that presentation with everyone, and also all those contact details that you mentioned in your session. And we will email that out to everyone after this today. I think there's some really valuable content there. We're now going to view the presentation by Maria from the RSPCA. So Maria is on hand to answer any questions if you want to pop those into the chat line. And Chris, I'll hand it over to you to set up that presentation for us.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all safe and well. I'm really happy to be here this morning at this amazing event. I have to thank Edwina and H.Parsons for inviting me on behalf of the RSPCA and our wonderful program, which I'm one of the coordinators on, the Home Ever After program. My name is Maria Natera, and what I'll do is I'll talk to you about future planning for your pets. It's fantastic to see so many people here today who are willing to talk about future planning. And there's no doubt if we went around the room and asked the question, what's your story and why are you here today? We would hear many different reasons on what has prompted you to make the efforts to be involved in this conversation about future planning. No matter what your reason is, there's little doubt really that your ultimate goal is really to gain peace of mind, knowing that all of the important aspects in your life have been taken care of. Now, we could break those aspects down to two main things: belongings or property and loved ones. So if the two main aspects are belongings and loved ones, where do our pets sit? Where do they sit? In loved ones or property? Let me give you my story, and this will let you see where I believe that pets sit. This is my firstborn, Gregan. Now, many have said that that is a face that only a mother would love, and I absolutely did love this little boy. He's not with us any longer, but he was such a beautiful little character. He was my fur baby. He was my firstborn. And I loved him dearly. And he had his own little personality. And this is my second-born, Tallulah. Again, a face only a mother would love, but a wonderful little girl, completely different personality to Gregan, and still a very, very big part of my family. And this, my third-born, my son Heath. I thought I'd choose this picture because it's kind of like Christmas in July or August, if we're talking about today. So yes, this is my third-born, lovely little boy called Heath. And my fourth-born, Tane. Yes, look at that cheeky face. It tells 1,000 stories. So these are all of my babies, my first through to my fourth-born. Every single one of those beautiful little beating hearts will always be my babies, my fur babies and my children. So where do you see your pets sit? If you have pets, or where do you feel that your loved ones who have pets, where do they see them sit? Of course, they are loved ones. You look after them because they're loved ones. You worry if they're unwell because they are loved ones. You take them to the vet because you love them and you miss them terribly when they're gone. And nothing can replace them because they are a living, breathing, unique life who owns a special spot in your heart. They are a loved one and they deserve to be treated as such for the rest of their life. And you will treat them as such for the rest of your life because you have control over their well-being right at this moment. You've got nothing to worry. But what if something happened to you and they didn't have you anymore? What then? Do you have a plan? A watertight plan with people of your choosing who will carry out your wishes. To give your pet the security of a lovable, suitable home if you're not there for them. What you need to do is you have to have a frank conversation with your suitable loved ones about their willingness and capabilities of adopting their pet if that need arose. If you've had that conversation, then that's just fantastic news. And we're very, very happy that you've done that. That is just brilliant. And no doubt this gives you immense peace of mind knowing that you've planned ahead for them. If you have family or friends who you think may adopt your pets, but you haven't had that frank conversation about their willingness or their capability of being your pet's adopter, then please do. You need to do it. It's best to establish all of the details of the agreement in writing. A simple co-signed and witness letter will do. This will give assurance that your chosen guardians are really, really committed and will follow through on the promise. The letter should also contain a list of all aspects of the pet's life and needs to help the new owner care for them appropriately. If you don't have anyone who can commit to this and be your plan A, or if you're looking for a plan B option, then the Home Ever After program from the RSPCA could be the answer for you. Here's a beautiful video of two of our
I had a
nannies.
plan with my sister. If anything happened to us, look after our animals for us. But things changed. She became widowed and decided to downsize. She lives in a flat now and she's got her own dog. So that was plan A, and we had to look for a plan B. And also, in my work as a paramedic, I had a case where an elderly gentleman had died and there was no one to look after his dog. And I thought to myself, that could be me. So I looked into this plan and decided it was for us.
We feel it's incumbent on us to make sure that, regardless of whether it's us or somebody else, our animals are looked after for the absolute best that can be given to them. We're very, very aware that we've got to do the best for our pets, and if we can't do it, whoever else takes on that responsibility, we would like to think that they would treat them no less than what we do.
I have a great sense of peace of mind because, harking back to my work as a paramedic, I have had to convince people that they needed to go to hospital, and to do that I've had to ensure that their pets have water, their horses are safe, or whatever it takes, because they haven't planned. And that's just brought it home to me how much you need a plan for your animals, whatever they might be. And it's just such a peace of mind knowing that with this plan in place, whatever happens to me, they'll be looked after.
Yeah, I just find it very comfortable to know that there is a backup plan to what we have put in place for ourselves, so that if anything happened, that the animals will be cared for.
It's something that you do for something you care about. If your ability to look after them is taken away, I would like to think that with the program, they match up people for your animals so that the dogs continue to have the lifestyle and the life that they had with us. This is something that worries people generally, and me in particular, that if I died or became incapacitated and we couldn't look after our animals, that they'd be cared for, that they'd be loved, they'd be allowed to sleep on the bed. Anyone who's thinking about this program, just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
I think that they would like the fact that we care enough to have something in place for them. I think they'd be comforted. They'd probably, I don't know that they'd say thank you, but they'd be happy.
I mean, Maisie would be, give me more food.
Well, I don't call them Maisie Fat Pants for nothing.
Really lovely example of why it's important and how it gives peace of mind. Now, how does the program work? It's pretty easy to enroll. There's documents that you need to complete. They are very long, but the reason being is because we need to understand the relationship that you have with your pet. We need to know everything about your pet in the surroundings that it's used to. So those documents need to be completed. We then give you documents that you give to your executors, to the people that you trust who will contact us if the need arose. Those documents will have contact telephone numbers that these people can call. We also give you things that you can put into your wallet, to put onto your keys, and also to put onto your fridge. These are all for emergency services. So if anything ever happened, they can see that you have a pet at home that needs assistance, and our telephone number is on there as well. We keep in touch with you. We encourage you to tell us, to contact us often as you want, especially if there is new information. We want to keep the details as current as possible. We will contact you at least once a year to make sure that we are instigating that. And also just to get some beautiful pictures of your pets throughout the years that you're enrolled with us. If a pet comes into our care through the program, they get to see the vet straight away. We just want to make sure that they're healthy physically and mentally before they go to their new home. So anything that needs addressing will be addressed, and they will be ready for adoption. A new home search is done through all of the documents that you've given us. That is why it's so important to put every single detail down there, so that we can make sure that we're looking for the right owner from what you have said to us would be the right owner for them. Once a new owner has been found, we will keep in touch with them. Normally it's quite a few times over the first few weeks, because we want to make sure that the pet is settling in well, and to give the new owner an opportunity to ask more questions. Once we know they're settled, then we will keep in touch with the owner for the rest of the pet's life, normally once a year, just to check in on them. There are so many benefits from having access to this program. There will be many that you may be thinking of that are not on the screen, and some more of them are things like it relieves your relatives as well from the responsibility. There may be at times where you think that you feel stressed that you're putting this pressure on your family to maybe take on the responsibility of your pet. It can relieve you of that. So really all round, it helps the psychological and physical well-being of the owner, because you're really taking this burden away that is there. So the benefits are massive, and I've had clients phoning up initially crying because they're so distressed about what would happen to their pet, but once they're enrolled on the program, you can just see everything being released, because they know that they have now got an option to be able to sort out future planning for their pet. The Home Ever After program is open to anyone, and the reasons are clear on why that needs to be open to anyone. All we do is we ask enrollees if they are able to consider leaving a gift in their will to the RSPCA. We would be massively grateful if that was possible. The reason being is because everything that we do at the RSPCA is only possible because of donations from the community. The passion for animal welfare and for what our organisation are doing keeps our doors open. We get a minimum of about 2% from the government, and that's only because we have the inspectors. The rest of the life-saving work that we do is only possible because of people in the community who are supporting us. So it would be wrong of me not to end on some wonderful stories about pets that have come into us. This is Honey and Becky. They are little Tibetan Spaniels. Their mother developed dementia and they could no longer care for them. So they came through the program and they were adopted. Now this is a wonderful picture of Honey and Becky with Santa, obviously back in 2017, from their new owner. The new owner was looking for one dog, but because Honey and Becky are a bonded pair. Now a bonded pair means that we have to be committed to rehoming animals for their welfare, and often that means that they have to be rehomed together. A bonded pair means that they need to be rehomed because they cannot be without each other. And this is Honey and Becky. I suppose if you look at the picture, you can see from their faces which one depends on the other. But we get a beautiful Christmas card from the owner every single year of Honey and Becky, and they're just loved so much. And this is another beautiful little character, Chase. Chase, oh my gosh, he is just a divine little dog. Again, his mother became too ill to look after him, so he had to come to us through the program. He was rehomed with a lovely couple. And the importance of the documents really is the story behind Chase and completing the documents. Chase is able to do sign language, and if we didn't know that from his previous owner, then we wouldn't be able to pass that information on to the new owners. Once we were able to tell them that certain paw movements and or looks that he gives you tells a story and what he's asking, it just really helped the new owners understand him a lot more and let that transition be a lot easier for Chase and for the new owners. So this is a brief overview of the program and why it's important for you to set a plan in place. But I do want to go back to that question and just reinforce making sure that you go home today and make this plan. I want to reinforce that. Remember when I said about, the aspects of your life, do you see your pet sitting in the property or the loved one section? Well, of course, we all know in our eyes where they sit in the loved one section. But did you know in the eyes of the law, the animals sit in the property section? In the property section, yes, they do. They sit in the property section, which means if you don't make your wishes known, they may end up in the hands of a person not of your choosing. So I think it's safe to say now, no matter what your plan is, whether it's through your loved ones or through the Home Ever After program, the act of putting a formal plan in place can ensure the right person gains legal ownership of your pet. Now, how good is that going to feel when you have your plan securely in place and you can go home and look into the eyes of your firstborn, your secondborn, or whatever, your fur baby? You can look into their eyes and you will have peace of mind to know that you can say, if something happens to me, I know exactly what's going to happen to you. So please feel free to ask me any questions that you have. But if you really need to have the help of enrolling your pets on this program, whether it be your first option or your second option, or if it's just because enrolling a pet onto this program breaks down that hurdle of actually bringing a pet back into your home because you were concerned about what would happen to them if you did, then please contact us. We will be able to help you and get this program set in place for your pet or any other pet that you would want to bring into your home. Thank you so much for your time today, and please enjoy the rest of the day. I hope you get so much out of it, and it's just amazing to see so many people here who are willing to talk about getting your ducks in a row and also putting pets in that whole perspective. Thank you very much.
Okay, recording in progress. This is great. So I just want to give a little bit information about Multicultural Communities Council of Illawarra. We are the multidisciplinary service with a wide range of skills and capabilities. In our organization, we speak more than 40 languages across the 90 staff members. So we have the office in Wollongong and Canberra. What we do, we are supporting multicultural seniors. We are providing cultural expertise and training for service providers. We deliver youth and the community programs. We do advocacy. We have a large pool of volunteers like working in the community and connecting communities through the social support groups. So my department partners in culturally appropriate care, New South Wales and ACT. We are the nationally funded the program and contributing towards a positive aging outcome for culturally and linguistically diverse communities. And today I'm going to give you a little bit overview about our project, Advanced Care Planning Project. In 2018, MCCI PCAC partnered with Coordinate Southern New South Wales Primary Health Network to create awarenesses about advanced care planning and establish community engagement initiatives among the CALD communities in Illawarra, Shoalhaven, and partly in southern tablelands of New South Wales. So in our initial sessions, in order to identify the CALD community's understanding about advanced care planning, we basically asked the question, what is advanced care planning and what do you know? And almost everyone confused it with writing their will or their finances and their plans for burial. The most concept meant what they want their family to know after their death. So we started to demystify the concept by explaining what is advanced care planning and what is a living will and what are the differences between two. So the lots of the service providers here, they know probably, but for the consumers, I just would like to say in the simplest term, advanced care planning is individuals' plan for your future healthcare, specifically when you're not able to speak for yourself. So it promotes care and it is consistent with your goals, values, beliefs, and preferences, and prepares you and your loved one for your future healthcare when you're not able to speak for yourself. So it is often used for end-of-life care, but it can also be used in any time in the future when you're not able to speak for yourself and not able to make a decision on your own. So we may need advanced care planning when sudden events that happen or progressive illnesses or conditions occur, like such as dementia. And we explain about the Advanced Care Directive as well. That is a document that records your instructions about your future healthcare and medical treatment when you no longer speak for yourself. It can be completed by anyone who is 18 years old or more, and it doesn't mean like you have to be the terminal illnesses or you are aging only. So we inform the communities. It's a little bit the different information, maybe some, but when we explain Advanced Care Directive is not a legal document in New South Wales, so it gave them sense of comfort for multicultural communities, because when you see there's some people in specific culture, they are apprehensive of lawyer or any kind of administrative methods. So however, we advise, if you wish, you can discuss its matter with your lawyer, or if you want, like, you can add into your will. And we also been explaining Advanced Care Directive is different in every state. At the end of the completing the Advanced Care Directive, this is another important information we gave them, visit your GPs. So it is not compulsory, but the GPs can help you to certify your state of your mind and verify that you were not forced when you're writing your Advanced Care Directive. So as I mentioned, advanced care planning documentation varies across Australia. Although Australian states and territories recognize advanced care directives under their legislation or common law, non-statutory documents are generally focused more broadly on a person's values, beliefs, or goals for future care, but often also include the specific instruction regarding your treatment as well. So in our project, so the whole project we conducted in phases. In phase one, we created awarenesses in culturally and linguistically diverse communities about advanced care planning and the document Advanced Care Directive to direct anyone caring for them when they are no longer speak for themselves. So, and we identify the barriers in CALD communities in discussing end-of-life conversations as well. Like, for example, in some cultures, talking about dying is kind of taboo, and then different aspects as well. So in phase 2, we promote advanced care planning via our think, talk, and record strategies. We interviewed some individuals in the communities, and we developed some videos. You can reach them on our website. And like think about your values, talk your values with your loved ones, and record them. And how we did it, like we leveraging our existing expertise in culturally appropriate service delivery, and through our established networks and links to cold communities, service providers, and stakeholders, we were able to increase awarenesses within all communities about the importance of advanced care planning. And also we build capacity of our staff and volunteers through the training, information sessions, and virtual reality technology to become ambassadors of advanced care planning and promote this to their respective clients. So they will be able to take steps and then complete their advanced care directive and enduring guardianship. This is like one of the image from the virtual reality technology. So these 2 apps have been built using real life scenarios from a facilitated feedback process. The aim of these applications are deepen awarenesses and understanding the others' experiences that may be different than others, and support cultural competency in end-of-life conversation, and demonstrate strategies to improve communication with people from cold backgrounds. So I'm just asking service providers if they are willing, if you're willing to give that kind of the training to your to staff members, you can contact us. We are happy to support you. And these are some of the outcomes. So as you can see, this is just only the last financial year. We did internal and external information sessions with multicultural seniors. We provide trainings for service providers. We did individual visits, and so far we reached 1,473 people. And we did some the survey with the staff members and volunteers as well. You can see some of the results here. So even though awareness has increased 90%, still 70%, 75% hadn't completed advanced care directive. So the result signifies that people are still consider talking about dying and still not willing to start the conversations. So of course that one didn't stop or the project's aim. We have been continue to spread the awarenesses about the concept and its importance. We had some lockdowns. We are still in lockdown. We had some challenges to reach the communities, but from March 2021, we have been invited by 10 different seniors groups, Vietnamese, Chinese, Filipino in like Illawarra, different the groups, and we reach more than 300 people. And these are all champions after we've been provided information to them. So they call us back. So they had some conversation with their families, with their GPs, and they call us back to get all the support to complete the advanced care directive. So I just would like you to ask to please start much needed conversation with your RAS and ACAT assessors and with your family and with professions, and have an advanced care directive in place for yourself when you no longer speak for yourself, so it's going to be too late. So this is our resource. There are lots of resources are available created by different the various organizations and Advanced Care Planning Australia. They are very important resources, but it was a little bit challenging for multicultural communities because they didn't know how they can reach these resources. So we created a multilingual booklet in 16 languages, including English. And we are just mentioning how they can reach these important informations. So I am at the end of my session. On the next slide, I would like to share a video developed by Advanced Care Planning Australia. please be mindful. It might be emotional for some of you or inspirational some, or maybe you already saw that video, but I just want to bring that question again. How well do you know your partner, your loved ones, even your children? So,
my name is Diana, and Roy and I are husband and wife.
My name is Anita, and John is my dad.
My name's John. I'm Crevy's husband.
So Roy gets to go on a trip of a lifetime. Where does he want to go?
I'd say Bora Bora.
So I definitely want to go Bora Bora.
What food could Anita not live without?
Probably curry.
Anything Asian?
He couldn't live without a lot of food. And what about you? What food could you not live without?
Probably fruit in general.
Probably chocolate.
What? Anita asking me, so what's this about? I said, I don't know.
If you can think about a moment where you pushed through a hard time together, can you describe that?
At school, when she was being bullied, we had to see some counselling.
Just talking me through it and helping me get through it. Kind words and lots of hugs.
For me, it was probably the time that we were first trying to have our first child, I guess. We went through IVF and things like that. Becoming parents is something that we all hoped would come naturally, but it didn't to us initially, and we worked through that together.
Roy's hurt in a car accident. He needs a breathing tube for the rest of his life, and he'll never speak again. Would you consent to this?
Well, yeah, I would, yeah.
No, I wouldn't. Definitely not. I don't think I would want to burden anyone with that. So I'd rather not. Yeah.
Anita had 3 months to live. Treatment would give her an extra 2 months, but she would never see outside of a hospital. Would you consent to treatment?
Yes, this was a difficult one. This one, 2 months, it's just 1 week, 2 months, any time.
Not at all. No.
That's unexpected.
I don't want to be kept in a hospital for forever.
John has had a massive stroke. Does he want a feeding tube to keep him alive, even though he'll never talk again?
No.
No, I don't. It's very important to me to be happy and functional in my life. No, I wouldn't want that to happen.
Roy's in the last stages of terminal cancer and his heart stopped. Does he want CPR?
Probably not. I don't think you would, no, I don't know.
So how do you both feel after answering those questions, and why?
It felt quite confronting in a way. But
You think about it and you talk about it just very lightheartedly, but I don't think anyone really puts a lot of thought and serious thought into it.
No.
Why do you think that some couples don't talk about this?
It's not a pleasant subject. I mean, nobody wants to dwell on the fact that they're going to die one day, and possibly in adverse or difficult circumstances.
So if I was to tell you that advanced care planning is essentially a conversation that helps your loved ones know what medical treatment to choose for you if you had a sudden event, what would you think about it now?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's important, not just for yourself, but more so for your family, I think.
Definitely have to have a bit more of a talk. And it's not just about the two of us. We also have kids and all that kind of stuff, yeah. So there is a bit we need to Consider, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so it is an important subject. So, but it might be difficult to start the conversation, but I think it's the reality of life. So yeah, thank you so much for listening me, and I'm finishing from here. And I'm just leaving with Edwina. I think I stopped it, right? Yeah.
Hi, Selen. Thank you. I think if anything captures the message, it's that video. I've seen it 3 times now, 3 times now, and it gets me every time. It just really, really reinforces the importance of advanced care planning. So wonderful information, very, very worthwhile. Thank you, Selen. We are now going to the breakout rooms now. So Chris, we will be directed into 2 different groups, correct? So we will be, one group will be with Michelle and Luan from H.Parsons, and the other group will be with Carolyn Vaughan. So what we just need to do is wait for the cues on the screen, and we'll be directed into the breakout rooms. You'll have about 15 minutes in there. Your mute button will be turned off, so you'll be able to chat amongst each other. I think we're good to go, Chris.
Yep, so everyone, you'll be taking over soon. So we'll see you in the rooms.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, I think we're all back in the main room. No, I'll just wait a few minutes, a few seconds. Okay. Think so. Are we all back in, Chris?
Yeah, that's everyone, Edwina.
Kind of a strange concept. It's like, you know, at a conference when you walk to another room, but we're not walking to another room. We're kind of being moved around virtually and then we're back in again. So anyway, we're all back here safe and sound. I don't know about you, but we just had some great conversations in there. In both of our breakouts, we had a great little team in our room, and Luan and Michelle and Carolyn, thanks for leading those discussions. Just some really great topics that came up, and lots of information shared. We are now going to have our virtual tour of Mountain View Crematoria, which Michelle and Lockie have put together. Lockie, you're on screen. Just wave, Lockie, so everyone can see you. So thank you, because you were the man behind the camera that helped Michelle put this together. And Michelle's our wonderful talent that's going to host the virtual video. Are we ready to show it, Chris?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So Michelle, when
Beautiful, thank you. I'm just going to share it now with you, so bear with me. Video. Welcome to Mountain View Crematoria, and thank you for joining us on this virtual tour. If you have any questions relating to our facility or the practices that are undertaken here, please feel free to contact us on 4249 2221. My name is Michelle Newland and I'm the manager here at MVC. Okay, so we're now here in the receiving area at the MVC facility. The deceased are delivered to our facility by funeral directors and funeral transfer staff, and there is quite a large amount of room here for cars to enter and for the deceased to be delivered with dignity. The deceased are received by our crematorium staff by use of the trolley, the coffin trolley that we have here on hand, and we practice safe manual handling practices when receiving and transferring the deceased and the coffin. So under New South Wales health legislation, we have the authority to cremate the deceased within 48 hours, unless the family has selected a same-day cremation or have chosen to undertake a witness of insertion into the cremator on a specific day. Once we receive the deceased and the coffin, we place the deceased into our cool room, which has capacity to hold 12 coffins at one time. Okay, so here we have our charge beer, which is operated by remote control. And this wonderful piece of equipment is an automated transport system for the coffin from the cool room. It travels along to the cool room, and the operator can draw the coffin out onto the charge beer and transport it back towards the cremator for when the cremator is ready to receive the coffin. As you can see on our charge beer, there are rollers all the way along. So once the charge beer is ready to receive the coffin is placed on rollers itself in the cool room, and it just provides easier access for the coffin to be rolled out onto the charge beer. Now we're here at the cremator. Our cremator is a dual cremator, which means that it has two chambers for better release of emissions into the earth, into the atmosphere. So the first chamber allows the burning of the deceased to take place, and then the second chamber reduces any amount of smoke that might be released into the atmosphere. Top of the line equipment, and it is operated by a computer system, and the computer system pretty much directs us as to which stage of the cremation we are at. The computer system is held within the control room, and I'll show you that in a moment. So once the coffin has been placed on the charge beer, the charge beer is brought over to the cremator, and the cremator operator will do all of these processes via remote. The green light here signifies that we are ready to open the door. We can't open the door of the cremator until this green light is showing. The cremator door will open. And the temperatures within the cremator will be between 800 and 950 degrees. The cremator operator will use the remote to then transfer the coffin into the cremator. And there is a water spout here which shoots down onto the coffin as well during the insertion. Once the coffin has entered the cremator, the door will close. So the cremation takes between an hour to an hour and a half to complete, depending on the weight of the deceased. Once the cremation has taken place, there will be just fragments of bone within the cremator. The operator will then, once the cremation is complete, use one of our tools here, which is a scraper and a broom, to bring the bones down into the subtray, which is situated underneath the cremator. So each coffin we receive here at MBC has a nameplate placed on top of it, and this nameplate pretty much follows the deceased through the whole process. So once we have a cremation taking place, that nameplate will be inserted here into this little catch, and then once the cremation has finalised and the bone fragments are now in the subtray, which is down here, that plate will be placed down into this catcher here. So once the coffin has been inserted into the cremator, we have a sub-tray which is placed underneath, which will be specific to that cremation. The bones fragments are then transported into the subtray, and the subtray, once it's cooled down a little bit, is removed by the cremator operator and taken into our processing area. Our cremator operators are required to use all of the correct PPE gear when handling the cremator. We have gloves, the helmet here with the protective gear, and making sure that our operators wear long sleeve shirts to make sure that they are protected through this process. So now we're here in our control room. This is where our computer systems are set up to manage the cremator. We have a specific cremation software which looks after each cremation that takes place, and within that we will generate a reference number, a 4-digit reference number for each of our cremations that take place. That reference number will then be highlighted on each form of document that moves with the deceased, right up to when the collection appointment takes place with the loved ones of the deceased. That reference number is then specifically allocated to our cremation management software, which is an internal system which is utilised by MBC staff. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the subtray is placed beneath the cremator, where the bone fragments are then placed into the subtray and brought here into our processing area, our processing room. The trays are placed on our bench top here, just to cool, and once they have cooled slightly, the operator will use a metal detector instrument, which will bring out any pins or internal implants from the body that are metallic, and those are then recycled and go back into use into society. So once the operator has done the check of the bone fragments for any metallic fragments and have removed those, the bone fragments are then placed into our ash processor. And along with them is these metallic balls, which are placed into the processor as well. It's kind of like a washing machine effect. So the processor will spin, and as they take place, will create the cremains or the ash that then falls down into a bag held within a container to catch all of the cremains. We're now here in our ash room. So once the processing has taken place within our processing room, the cremator operator will bring the ashes into this room where they are lined within their reference number that I spoke of before in numerical order. The ashes are within a bag. Along with the bag is the nameplate, which I spoke about earlier, and also our administration team creates a cremation certificate which sits with each set of ashes. They're here lined on the right of this room, waiting for an appointment to be made by the family. So we've organised this room to also reflect any ashes that need to be transferred over to any of the gardens, the local gardens, which we can do those deliveries for families. Also, we have a line of ashes here that are waiting where appointments have already been scheduled. Families are welcome to book our reflection room here at Mountain View Crematoria. This comfortable space offers room for families to sit or stand in reflection, either with the deceased or without, and can be booked for up to an hour. So now we're here in our beautiful showroom, which holds a number of variety of urns. So once the processing of the ashes has taken place and the ashes are placed within the ash holding room, our administration assistant will contact the family either via letter or phone call and let them know that the ashes are ready for collection, and we schedule in an appointment. A lot of families aren't sure yet as to how they want to take the ashes, so we have large urns, we have scattering tubes, we have tea lights, we have jewellery, and the family often will come in and actually make a selection here on the day of the appointment, and we will actually place those ashes then that are held within a bag in the interim into an urn of their choice. Our showroom here, although it does hold quite a large range of urns, is actually quite extensive on our online shop. So we have a number of other products which we can access for families, and we have a catalogue here for the families to make those selections if they like, where we order them in from our supplier. And sometimes families will leave their ashes here with us until we have received that urn and we can do the placement for them. So this is our appointment room. We do all collections via appointment so that we can better serve our customers and hold a space for them to actually be here for whatever period of time that they need to be. As you can imagine, it can be quite an emotional time for families and for the grieving. So we bring the family into this room. There is some paperwork that we require them to sign and identification that we need, either a driver's license or a photo ID card, and we record those details just to make sure that we are aligning with our practices. Once the ashes are ready for collection, we'll pass them over to the customers and we wish them well. And that brings us to the end of our tour of our facility. I hope you have found it informative. If you'd like to actually come in and schedule in a in-house tour, you're more than welcome to do that. Please contact us on 4249 2221, and we can also answer any questions you may have about any of our processes here at Mountain View Crematoria.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Michelle, and thank you, Lockie. That was so lifelike. It didn't seem like a virtual tour. I felt like I was there. So great tour, great overview. This actually now brings us to the end of Dying to Know Day for this morning. Chris, I'm just wondering, can we all be unmuted and have our cameras going? I just thought it'd be really nice to just kind of say goodbye. Sort of, are we able to do that?
Yep, everyone now has a prompt so they can unmute themselves.
Yeah, anyone? Before we all start chatting and saying goodbye, just a final big thanks to Carolyn, Margot, Selene, Maria, Michelle, both of the Michelles, Michelle Murphy, Michelle Newland, Luan, and also the rest of our staff are just really putting together a fantastic program. Also, a big shout out to the Groundswell Project, who actually initiated this whole campaign around Dying to Know Day. I just think it's such a great space and such a great start for the community to start having these conversations. We are just about out, or even over time, but if anyone's got any burning comments or questions, or if you just want to say a big goodbye to everyone, or farewell for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Very interesting.
Take care. Say hello to Alan.
We will.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
That was good. Well done. Ta-da. You're still there.
Bye, Christine and Bob. Oh, you have to press the leave button. We can stay and chat if you like.
Really interesting. Really good.
Fantastic. Thanks, Christine. Nice to meet you guys. Good luck with the kids too.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Thanks so
See
much.
you later. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. We're leaving now.
We're going now.
Okay. See you.